So we're going to take a look at 4 outcomes: receiving, physical inventory, reports, and movement. And as you hear us talk through what some of the requirements are, there's going to be other outcomes, other elements of a government property system that sort of tie into a lot of these things. So, you know, these aren't the be all and end all, but we'll hit some of the high ones here. So receiving, right? A dear friend and colleague of mine, Tom Rook-Dashler, you know, I like to say it all starts with receiving, and it's true, right? Receiving is when we first physically put our hands or our robot hands, whatever it is, on on the property. And when you look at FAR 52-245-1, receiving involves about 4 processes, right? It's receiving the property, physically getting it, documenting the receipt, managing discrepancies incident to shipment, right? We ordered 5 widgets, we got 4, or we ordered green widgets, we got blue ones, or we just got stuff we never even ordered, or the government never told us. What do we do about that, right? And the final step being identifying the property as government owned. Now, as we go through each of these 4 items, think back to that sort of requirement all the way down to internal control, right? What are the risks associated with each and every one of these, right? You know, receiving property, you know, one of the risks is it sits out there for 4 days. Well, that might be okay for paper clips, less so for laptop computers, especially like if you're like down here where I am in Florida. You don't want stuff sitting outside for too long. How do we document the receipt? What do our policies and procedures say that? What is that documentation, right? Do we do that match against a purchase order and the bill of lading, and then we fill out our own receiving report? Is that all sort of automatically pushed to us, and we have to just acknowledge, or, you know, with a click of a button or a scan that we've received that? How do we push through discrepancies that we identify? Who has to be involved? What are all those people involved? What are those processes, the time frames involved around that? And lastly, how do we even identify government property as government owned? And we'll talk a little bit about the identification piece in a slide or two here. But right here in this receiving outcome, there's many sub-processes that you can dissect into specific requirements that only your organization knows how you do all that. And as you're considering, you know, technology solutions, or you may already be using them, but you've never translated them into your policies and procedures, these are considerations that you need to understand so that you can translate them and present them to an outside reviewer so they can understand. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Peter.
Yeah, and this is where I like to really use an example to illustrate the point that Alex is making, where the technology meets the process requirement as being defined, that you're not only imagining, but what you actually are following through on. So in this particular example, I know that there's many people that are on here that are using Deltek's Costpoint in the receiving capability within that product. So all of that receiving comes in very often from, you know, some form of procurement, going through purchasing, where the purchasing is set up with line item details about what is being ordered. And down to that line item, you can see the part numbers and other information that's going to be coming in when you're at the receiving point. So when products are received in within Costpoint, you can acknowledge the receipt to specific line item detail, and you can add the additional data elements being required of you for 52-245-1. Now, this is the most efficient way to receive. Now, it could easily be an attachment also, might be part of, you know, what you need to check against to make sure that your records are being kept accurate to what the government expects to be shipping you. And then you can handle the discrepancies, right? You can address parcel shipments within the system. But this is what's important here to recognize is once those are being received in through a main system like Costpoint, it can then be automatically fed down, directly exchanged to the A2B Tracking government property management system. And so what that does is it now, with just a couple of clicks or even behind the scenes, it now starts to fulfill out your obligation to record keeping and all the things that you have to do after you received in that GFE. Like you need to generate and record your IUIDs, right? The physical 2D barcode that you're going to put on the items, because that might be, a mill standard 130 could be your obligation on this contract. Certainly doing physical inventories. We're all going to need to be able to process efficiently these physical inventory transactions using, different means, in which we're going to get into in a moment. But then it's without a doubt reporting directly to these government systems, because once you're within this platform, then you can then take that data and you can feed it through to the government systems as are needed. But again, it's looking at it from a perspective of where's the data coming from and how do we get it flowing into the right buckets to make your job easier.